You're getting worried, yes indeed. I know exactly what you need. A little sunshine will make you feel okay. Now look here, give the blues a change. Find a sunny place. Go and paint your face with sunshine.
So, yeah, call the meeting to order, 7:32.
Good. Okay. The first piece of business I have for you is to just approve an after-the-fact budget transfer that was approved by the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance because we're running out of money to pay the production people. So I moved $1,500 from professional development and training because they're learning on the job. And it seemed appropriate, and we have plenty of money from the grant for that. That was approved by the last Board of Finance meeting, but it's in your purview to say if that's a good idea or not.
Any comments? Allison?
I mean, I was just sitting in on the meeting earlier to the whole budget. I know it's been a very crazy, but I mean, we need production people, right? Like they have to get paid from somewhere, no?
Yeah.
At this juncture. And so if that's something that we're able to do until the next time comes around when we have to really analyze and see what cuts, if any, need to come from anywhere else, I would move the money, like, in my opinion.
Sure. We may have to move some more again for them. And at the current rate, my hours are going, I will be running close to $2,000 over budget. We could move money. There's a generous amount in where did we put it? We put it in the capital account because it's easier to carry over year to year. But that's all leftover money from the grant. And as long as we report it to the Cable Advisory Council, I think it will be all right. One of their rules of thumb on grants is that sure, you can pay for personnel, but probably don't pay for more than 50% of what you're paying all your people.
Right. Yeah. The amount of how much of it that you use to pay personnel is probably, I'm sure there's probably guidelines for that.
I think they like to see that the town is backing up the work rather than using the entire grant to fund the whole channel.
Correct. Right. That makes sense.
So it's not an emergency, but I might send you out an email saying, what do you think of this? And if everybody's crunched for time, we could have like a 5-minute meeting to make sure that's okay. But for right now, we're fine. I don't know if you want to approve that by consensus or just say yeah, or discuss it some more.
Anyone object to approving by consensus?
No, I'm fine approving by consensus. I mean, I'm for it. It's fine with me.
Teresa?
She muted herself again. Let's see if that works. Can she chat? That's probably harder.
One, guys, my kids are crying, so
yeah. Sorry. I would say it might not be such a crunch once we tiptoe back into in-person meetings, because some of them I would feel fine about skipping. And that's another.
Yeah. Once we go back to in person, we can probably go back over that meeting schedule and which board meetings and commission meetings we're currently putting up on the channel and up on YouTube, and we're doing all this excess work for that we may not necessarily have to do once they come back to in person.
Right.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Right. Okay. Okay, so skipping ahead to the next one, I keep trying to talk about this year after year. Now I'm already 70 years old. We really seriously have to think, oh, here's a call-in user. That's Mary. Hello? Call-in user, are you
Hello.
Mary?
Yep, I'm Mary.
Yeah. We're just starting to talk about how to break down the coordinator job.
Oh, okay, good.
Back in the old days, it was just, I was only supposed to be in charge of hiring students to take the cameras, tape a meeting, and then take it for OGET to turn, no, not OGET, but Ron Davis at Video Lab to turn it into a DVD, and we would put it on the carousel player. That was our channel. Ron said, no, you have to learn how to do this yourself. So I did. It became, if I could not find a camera person, and it was an urgent meeting, then it was on me to get it taped. So I'm the coordinator, but I'm also sort of the last thing for production. Anything that needed fixing in the recording, like cut it off before you come to order and cut it off after you adjourn, so there's less chit chat. Some of it could be kind of spurious and be taken the wrong way. That work, I can't seem to find anybody else to take up. So there's post-production too. Let's see. I don't know if I sent it to you. Simplified coordinator duties, ways to break it down, and also on the shared folder in Google Drive. I tried to break it down with the possibility of finding other people to do things. So my question for you is, what do you see as most important? Is it making sure everybody who wants a meeting recorded gets recorded, or keeping the TV channel from going dark, or what's the really basic goal for the channel?
Well, I mean, keeping it from going dark has to be the priority. If the channel goes dark, then there isn't.
Well,
then it ceases to exist in and of itself. Really, I mean, that's the whole point of it. So I would think that would be the priority. I have to be honest. I'm not sure that I saw that particular breakdown. So if it's in the Google Drive, I will go back and make it a point this week to kind of read through the way you broke it down.
Okay.
But I think that if it becomes an issue, a matter of whether, I think it sounds like we may be hiring or need to hire more than one person to encapsulate or fulfill the role in which you play as coordinator, right? Is that
Right.
okay?
I also had Betsy grabbed me in the hallway yesterday, and because she had to put the materials up on the website on our homepage for the meeting, and she said, "So, what kind of person do we need?" I said, and Tony, whenever I bring it up with Tony Genovese, he always says, "Oh, well, poor, can you find somebody?" And I can probably find somebody with the needed skills. The question is can Woodbridge find somebody who's willing to work part-time, but is also on call at the drop of the hat? Because the schedule, people decide, we're going to have a special meeting and here's a blank space here. Oh, I don't see anything scheduled for the last Wednesday of March, so we're going to have our special forum on the Housing Committee report on that date. And nobody asks if it's going to be recorded until they've already set the date. And I say, well, I'll find somebody. And we did. And I'll get it on TV tomorrow. But
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that going forward in any capacity, on any commission and in any board, they're going to find that nobody's going to agree to work part-time, but also be on call all the time.
Right.
I think that expectation, not just for your position or the coordinator position here, but for many other positions within the town and everything else, there's going to be a lot of
Many
people.
other positions
They're
are being
gonna
doubled up.
right, because they're going to have to. That's just not. I think as we come back from certain things that happened during the pandemic, that part of it, people are not just going to be available all the time for very. That they're going to have quite a hard time finding that.
It's part of doing more with less. The one example I could think of, I know in Wilton and maybe some of the other Area 9 towns down in Lower Fairfield County, they have an in-house IT person who is also the coordinator for the TV. So that goes together. Our IT is sourced out to another company, TB&G. So if Amity could be persuaded to have part-time another person to do it, maybe something would appear on channel 78 besides color bars, because right now there's nothing going on there, and I have not seen a recorded meeting on their website since end of February. So I think I'm not sure what's going on there, if it's a lack of labor or they need new cameras possibly. But that would not be hard to walk across the road from Amity to Woodbridge and do some work in both places. I could pitch it to them. Eventually, it'll go to the personnel committee for the town, which I think is Tony and maybe a couple of the board of selectmen. But if we can prioritize what needs to be done and how to break it out, that would help them. And I would know places I could post such a job or jobs.
Yeah. Okay. So we really have to reimagine your position and whether it looks like more than one position, and then what those roles would be and which hire would be the top priority is kind of what sounds like to me. Okay.
The other thing Betsy mentioned was, what if the position were moved to part of general administration in the town? Which brings back the question: do we need the TV commission? And I said, you really need to hear from citizens outside of the top boards and even the town.
Well, I think that if you left it to the town, I don't think there's a lot of people in the town, it's like in my demographic, that even know there's a TV channel.
Do they go to YouTube or do they just go to the email? Okay.
I mean, I found out the YouTube channel existed only because at one point I happened to miss a Board of Ed meeting and a parent I talked to emailed me the link. Like the communication, and I had mentioned this on one of the other meetings, or at the very least, the way in which the town communicates now for the bulk of my demographic at the very least isn't a way in which that we know these things even exist. So that's why I was saying, there's a lot of other ways to get our public meetings out to the town members. So there might be, as far as the YouTube channel goes, or the coordinator role and the channel in general goes, the first selectmen meetings, the budget meetings, the big, Board of Ed meetings. Maybe those are the ones that get filmed, and those are the ones that we have like documentation on that lives on YouTube forever. But there are plenty of other live streaming and other resources that they may want to look into that are available. Because I do feel like if you were to ask the town members and poll the town, I don't know that the TV channel would be a priority.
I agree with that.
I just don't. I don't think.
Yep,
I think the town will be like,
I absolutely
sorry,
agree.
I didn't even know we had one. I don't really care.
Okay.
But if I could watch the meeting, the zoning meeting, you know, on a live stream that my phone alerts me that they're going live, I'd sit there and watch it and then send an email to the first selectman. But the whole YouTube, I just don't think the bulk of the town is cares. I don't know how
Yeah,
else to
no,
put it.
that's okay.
You know?
You are aware that our grant money only comes to us because there is a TV channel.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, if it came down to asking the members of the community how they want to structure this, or if this is something that's important to them, I don't think the people who live in Woodbridge would care if the TV channel existed or didn't.
Okay. So scheduling the TV channel is probably low priority then.
Yes, I would say that too. Yep. I don't think that they would care. Remember there was the talk that they had brought up maybe a year ago, or maybe even longer than that, maybe 2 years now, that's what they were thinking of doing, that they wanted to absorb it and not have it. It would be a town function, if at all. And
Oh, you mean, no, they talked about, and I think they're still thinking about that, cutting down the number of commissions.
right.
But not getting rid of the TV channel, I don't think.
I don't know. I think that would follow.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I hate to say it, but you know, that's what I think.
Yeah, like I said, I don't like saying it out loud, but I'm pretty. I don't like saying it out loud, but I'm pretty confident that if it came down to asking the town, I think you'd probably get 35% that didn't even know it existed, and then the rest of the majority wouldn't care either way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, because also too, watching back meetings, it's hard to. I think it should be certain ones like Board of Ed meeting, like certain ones you should be able to go back and watch once things have been put in place or things have been discussed. But I think there are other ones that once you miss it in live time, you know, you're going to find out what happened one way or another anyway.
Okay.
You know, and so if it's not happening live, it's hard to, I think, have people feel interested enough to watch, you know, an hour and a half on YouTube when I'm sure if they're interested, are going to hear about it from someone else. That's just my opinion.
So do you all want to have a look at how I sketched out the job and talk about it next meeting? We can get together, or, you know, it's even up there for you to.
I think the effort. I think the effort has to be on our part, figuring out what is important, what the priorities are, and how many people it will take to do it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what, and I think we have to do it on our, like I said, I think we have to be the ones to figure it out and lay it out, because no one else is going to care or do it. So I think
if it's in the Google Doc, we can add comments. You know, we would be able to see each other's comments as we slowly get to work on it. And then we could come back together at that next meeting and say, you know, I think these are the most important roles of the person, and this is what we should be looking for first. You know, these are secondary and tertiary roles, or maybe these are things that we don't need to do anymore. Maybe these are things we should look at, maybe not including.
Right, and I hate to say it, but no one's going to do the job like you did. I mean,
they don't have to do it like I did. Just what do you see as basic?
Right, and that's what we have to come down to. We were spoiled, I have to say, and now we just have to figure out what we need to do to, you know, keep it going.
Okay, but you do want to going. You don't want to close down the channel. Do I hear that right?
I don't personally.
Okay.
No, I would like to keep it going. I would like, if anything, to find ways to make it a little bit more relevant. You know,
Okay.
if anything, I'd like to find ways to make it something that, you know,
Would
you,
Facebook
I'm not
Live
saying it that way.
work for
I just
you?
wish, like I
No,
had said, like I had no idea it was even I didn't even know we had one. You know, when I grew up here, and I've owned my home here now for 14 years, and I have 2 kids in Beecher, and I didn't even know we had a TV channel until somebody emailed me a link of a meeting I missed.
Okay.
You know, so I think that if we can use it to make it a little bit more to meet people's needs, or find out how they would want us to use it, if that makes sense, to maybe reimagine.
Where would you have looked for it? Because it is all the way down at the bottom of the homepage.
It is all the way down at the bottom of the homepage, and I guess I didn't even think to. I would never have thought to say, does Woodbridge, Connecticut have a TV station? It's in general, it's, and you know, have it be on YouTube. I just think maybe if once we kind of consolidate or figure out the priorities of this position, we find a way to see what role the TV channel plays now. You know, for in today's demographic with the people who live in the community now, and see how it can best serve them going forward, if that makes sense.
Okay. I know I tried at the suggestion of this commission to make sure it got to YouTube, Facebook Live, but and use the page that belongs to the town, because it is the voice of the town. But there was a reluctance to do that because we could not adjust. We couldn't adjust the settings to limit comments, right?
I think if we could find a way to utilize, I mean, there is a way that you can disable comments. Like the news channels do it all the time. There has to be. I'll have to do some research, because I really do. I feel like if we could utilize the Facebook Live to live stream some of those housing events, or like, you know, there is going to be a percentage of people. And I had, you know, we just had parent teacher conferences at Beecher, and they really wanted parents to show up. But like, if I'm picking my kid up at 1 p.m. and I have to have a 3 o'clock meeting without my kid there, so I still want to Google Meet. You know, there is still going to be a portion of people that now were able to attend things virtually that are still going to want that, even as the majority moves back to in person. And I think that utilizing some sort of live streaming is going to be beneficial to everybody, like the Facebook Live. And I know that news organizations, when they go live, there are times where their comments are turned off. So I'll look into that. I'll figure out a way, because I know there's a way to be able to do that. And you have to have comments turned off if you're going to live stream any town meeting. That's not even up for discussion. There can't be people fighting back and forth in the comment section. That's not what we're looking to do. That's a given for sure.
Right. The YouTube does go out live.
Streams live on YouTube.
Yes.
Right. Yes, I know, but I know the problem is a lot of people. Yeah. Well, or that's not watching YouTube live. It's harder to. It's not as easy or as seamless as a platform as some of the other ones.
Okay.
Integrated into our data. That's all.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I am looking into different ways to automate more of the other stuff. I mean, with YouTube, it does schedule as it streams. What did I say? It does record as it's streaming. So that's a lot of the stuff is taken out there, and it will put closed captions on. I think you have to ask for it. Okay. Well, we can look at that. Do we want a deadline for how to get? I have made a proposal to cut my hours back to no more than 15 a month. I'll have to look at that again. Come July 1st, in the hopes that we have somebody that I can bring along and train on some of the details. where to look up the meetings, and where to look for help. If sometimes we get 2 or 3 meetings going on at the same time. So that was my deadline, was July 1st, to really just step back a little bit more. If I could point out one change I'm proposing in policy and procedures, which was let me see if I can find it now. Just the page that talks about priorities. There we go, policy draft. Maybe I should try and share this. The way it used to read was it would give primary priorities would be the local governmental legislative meetings, so the big boards, selectmen, finance, Woodbridge Board of Ed, and town meetings, and I added to that public hearings as second tier of primary priorities, because we don't even cover what they list for secondary priorities. I thought it might be helpful to actually name some of the commissions that I've taken as my second and third tiers. The land boards, the safety boards, fire and police commissions, and I don't know what you think about this, economic development and conservation commissions. Economic development, because they're the people trying to build the base that would be the grand list base that's other than residential properties, which is an ongoing problem. And conservation, because that's the group of people that a lot of the open space proponents look to speak for them. And that's an ongoing thing. In the policies that we've had before, we listed human services, but they never wanted to be covered. Once they go back to in-person, that's one of the commissions I would probably drop. So I would take that out. And also
Yep, that's fine.
Other advisory commissions and committees as may be added with the recommendation of this commission, just to leave that open. So if something like the housing committee comes along and you all really think I should be at every single one of those meetings, then we'll add that to the roster. But I thought it would be good to just name what the basics are now. And you can look at that, and we can consider any other changes to policies and procedures, and bring that before the Board of Selectmen for their approval when all of you are happy with them. Policies I'm still looking at, because a lot of it is DVD based, and we don't do DVDs anymore.
So I think that the fact that we don't do DVDs anymore also fits in with the discussion that people who are interested in this are interested primarily in viewing it online. So the commission was set up for a set of technology platforms that are much less important today than they were when it was set up. And yet the underlying concerns of having a recording available of the meetings, I think, remains very important. And it used to be people would traipse to the library to pick up the DVD. That's not especially important. What is important is that they can get it somewhere, like going back and getting the YouTube channel. I think the fact that the majority of people in town are unaware or ambivalent about the channel, I'm not sure how important that really is. Because while most people don't know about the channel and may not care about the channel, I would say the same thing applies to town meetings. And to suggest that we don't keep doing things the way we have been because most people aren't interested would be an argument for doing away with town meetings, which I don't think is a viable argument. So we need to instead be thinking about what is it that is really important about the role of the channel in the town. And yes, most people are not going to watch it. We've known that for the past, 10 years that, not a lot of people do. But when something really big happens, everyone wants to. And and even when there's not something big, the people who are making the decisions want to. So I think that that's the framework that we need to be thinking about as we think about what is the best way to rejigger the coordinator's duties, independent of how many more years you're going to be sticking around for, right? Because things have changed. They've changed because of the pandemic. They've changed because of streaming. They've changed because people don't watch TV and people don't play DVDs. And we need to change our policies and our expectations of the coordinator to reflect those changes.
Okay.
I totally agree.
So
I would suggest then that sort of with this in mind, we should look at what's out there for suggestions to the simplified coordinator's role, coordinator duties. Just looking at it, the LTIS, problems with reception, etc. We need to keep that on the list because there are some people who that's how they get the information, and that is sort of a key part of how we end up being funded is through the cable charge. But that's probably a much lower priority right now. If we have poor reception on LTIS and people can get the stream easily on YouTube or Facebook, or I guess a good way to thinking about it is if there's a problem with Facebook and LTIS, the priority, or YouTube and LTIS, the priority is getting YouTube taken care of. And LTIS takes a second seat instead of it used to be the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think that as we look through the various items, the viewers' problem with reception. Well, that's now changed to perhaps the viewers' problems with hearing the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But that coordinator role of making sure that people can hear the channel remains an important part of the coordinator's duties. So again, all of these are things that I'd suggest we should go back, look at the coordinator's duties, look at the policies, and I think probably at the next scheduled meeting, to go into more detail about how we see the policies and duties changing as a result of the changing environment.
Okay. And the next scheduled meeting is the 26th this month on a Tuesday. If something comes up, if you can let us all know as soon as possible, then we'll figure out another time.
I'm sorry, what was the date you said? April
26th.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, Tuesdays seem to be the day that work, and that's our fourth Tuesday. And the one after that
And
is
we
me.
can go into, I'll go in the Google Drive. I'll look over the kind of what you said, and then we can, make notes there, or at least come back at that date with a better understanding of at least what we would like, each of one of us would like to see are the new priorities, what we do think the focus should be, et cetera.
Okay.
And in terms of that also, whether or not some of these things could be better done by somebody in town hall, some other way. I think that that's an important part of the discussion as well. Of, not only what are the things that need to get done, but do they have to be done by the coordinator, or can they be done by other people?
Or think about deadlines. I set myself a deadline to get meetings of the week up by Friday, or by the weekend. Do you think people will notice if it's not there as soon as that? That might make it might make a difference to the job.
Yeah, I think that's a valid thing, because if we think back to what was the deadline for getting the DVD over to the library, right?
Well, after it was on, it would be after it was on TV. Then I would get the DVD over. Just putting the TV on priority.
Right.
Um,
And again, people
time.
have different
Yeah.
expectations now than they did in the early days of the channel.
Right. I did go out to Providence the Wednesday that the Housing Committee had their forum at the JCC, and I let everybody know ahead of time that I would be out, and to let me know if they were going to do WebEx or they were going to do in person as soon as possible, because I would have to find somebody to carry a camera over. And fortunately, I had two, so there was backup in case something went wrong. And Monday, they wanted to know when it was going to be up. When was it going to be on the website? So that's an example. If I had been here, I probably would have had it on by Saturday. But I don't think there was the big screaming. I haven't heard that people were banging on the door at town hall about it or anything. Let's see. Last item I have listed for you is that the papers to write a grant from the Cable Advisory Council came in. Excuse me. And I was going to suggest putting an upgrade for the machine that sends our signal to Norwalk for the TV channel, because it would be able to record it would be able to record the better signal that we're able to get from the TriCaster. It is now 7 years old. I could carry over the service contract for that. Other people have other ideas, like getting a better screen in the town gym, in the center gym for movies and presentations. Other people have other ideas for what to have in a grant. So next time you might want to think about how we might be able to use the money. So I can tell you what we've had in the past. We put in all the cameras. I guess the last big thing we had was the public address system in the center gym, which has never been used. It was put in there because we were going to have hearings and meetings in there, and it has never been used as far as I know. So you can make your best guess about what's useful, but you never know what's going to happen. So that's all the business I have for you. And 7:30 Tuesday, April 26th is the next date we are scheduled to meet.
Okay. Well, since this is a special meeting, instead of a general meeting, we can't have additional stuff added to the agenda, right? So if we've completed the agenda, it seems like a motion. Right. So do we have that motion?
Yep, I can make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank
hopefully
you.
we'll see everyone on the 26th.